how far we have traversed as an organization, as a movement, in trying to transform our society from the quagmire it was in when we took over in 1994. It was zero balance, isn't it so, by the way? Yes, zero balance to where we are today. Not only that, Comrade Lindiwe will also talk about that thing that we call the sacrosanct of the movement, unity. There is no way that you can transform anything for as long as you don't have the organization. You need an organization that is united to transform. I'm on social media. We have a WhatsApp as a branch. Comrades air their frustrations there about the happenings in the organization, about lack of decisiveness on the part of the leadership of the ANC in dealing with the scourge of racism that is rearing its ugly head. Frustrations about the crisis and the hard times the African National Congress is facing. Take advantage, comrades, you've got NEC here. Ask those hard questions that you always pose on WhatsApp. It is in a forum such as these, wherein we have come together as African National Congress members, that we engage robustly, no holy cows. We confront issues facing our movement in a way trying to seek solutions that will put the African National Congress on a high-rise trajectory. Comrade Sisulu will also talk about how do we reconfigure our organization, how do we renew ourselves so that we gain strength out of the processes of organizational renewal. I believe you have got questions, relevant questions, that will assist us as branches to make our recommendations to the policies of the African National Congress, not only for the organization, but for the society. Right now, we are 4%, by the way, if we were to look at the stats of 2016, local government elections. Between power and losing power, 4%. We're on 54%. That's what it means. How can we reverse that? As the organization, we need to ask those questions. And the NEC is here. Certainly, being the humble servant of the organization, deployed in the NEC, she will take our pleas, our recommendations, our cries to the leadership of the African National Congress as a whole, to say the ANC Liliesleaf branch, the epicenter of political debate, is recommending the following. No hold bars here. This is the only platform where you can actually confront issues head on so that we deal with them and deal with them decisively. I don't want to waste lots of time. Comrades, I know that you are hungry for a session such as this. So I'm saying, let us engage Comrade Lindiwe. Let us ask robust questions. Let us ensure that, okay, we give her some provision to take to the NEC. By the way, sitting next week, isn't it? Let's make sure that, okay, we give her provision to take to the NEC. Because amandla wasemasebeni, as we say in the ANC, with the basic unit of the organization. And the organization, the leadership of the ANC, must consider our views. And those are the views coming from the membership. Amandla! Nawethu! Amandla!
Matla! Comrades, Kululegani, comrades, I think I feel and it's not as cold today. I think we're going to have fun. Let's engage. Let us ensure that we feel free to. This is an ANC session. This belongs to us. This is a session where we are going to address all those issues. Comrade Chair, you know that we have an E-branch, and I see lots of members who are here who will be able to articulate and share in this platform some of the issues that they raise. Comrades, let me, without further ado, request Comrade Mukete Beletani, who is the convener of our youth league, to come and just share brief thoughts with us. Thank you. Comrade Mukete.
Madla! Madla! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva! Viva Sasco, viva! Viva! Viva Kosas, viva! Viva! Roar young lions, roar! Roar young lions, roar! Thank you very much, comrades. The leadership of the ANC that is present here. Comrade Lindiwe, the leadership of the zone, Comrade Pasha, the leadership of the branch, Comrade Pet, Nopal. Comrades, it's easy to organize events that seeks to unite the organization that is tearing itself apart. As the ANC Youth League in this branch, what we have always been advocating and we continue to advocate is that we will not be used as catalysts to divide this organization. We want to work with the ANC to unite the ANC. We refuse to inherit the ANC that was given to the current leadership of the ANC that is in a dire state. There are many things that the ANC Youth League has resolved on. But one of the things that are very clear and very key to us, and that we are not moving on, is economic freedom in our lifetime. But we are not going to be utilized in our quest for economic freedom by those who are leading the ANC to further their narrow, selfish interests. So, as we engage comrades in these platforms, it's important that we advocate these issues. In the past, when the ANC was in a very challenging state, when the ANC historically was in trouble, it looked no further than the ANC Youth League. Today, we seem to be the ones that the ANC looks for to divide, to insult, to grandstand, and so on and so forth. Comrades were saying that as the leadership of the ANC Youth League in this branch, we are disassociating ourselves with any movement that seeks to divide this organization. We are saying for as long as we are alive and for as long as we are participating and we are part of the leadership in this branch, We would work with everyone and everyone that is seeking to unite the ANC. And it is for that reason that we will always support every event that seeks to unite. And we are very happy that we have one of the Comrade Chairperson said, scandal-free, Comrade Lindiwe. It might be funny, comrades, but the very fact that we identify comrades that are supposed to be leading the ANC as either scandal-full or scandal-free is a problem. And as the ANC Youth League were refusing to inherit that kind of organization. The organization that was handed over to the current leadership of the ANC, it was handed over intact. And we are demanding that they are going to give us this organization in that state. As we continue to advocate that we are led, we must be led and allow ourselves to be led, but we are not going to be misled, comrades. We are very humble, we are very energetic, we are very happy to work and assist the ANC. However, we are not going to be utilized, we are not going to be misled, we are not going... Comrades, in branches such as the ANC, as the Liliesleaf farm, we've got professionals here. We've got intellectuals here. We've got capacity here. We are able to utilize our thinking tanks. We are going to interrogate each and every aspect that is driven to us for us to consume. We are not in the receiving end here. We are making decisions. So as we continue to transform the lives of our people that are outside of the privilege that you and I might be having here, it's important that we remember that you can't transform if you are not united. It's important as we interrogate the issue of transformation of the lives of our people to say, how united are we as the ANC of today compared to the ANC 10, 20 years ago? And what is it that divides us? Why is it that we are always looking at issues that are dividing than those that are uniting? We have a policy conference that is much closer than the elective conference, but the focus is on that one. We are here, Comrade Chair, that year we are able to interrogate documents, we are able to make resolutions, we are able to make contributions. Our focus is on policy conference. We are very clear, we are interrogating all these documents. We are going to make a meaningful input. That is our preoccupation. We have invited all young people to say, comrades, let's participate in these forums, in any forum that seeks to interrogate the documents of the ANC. Our job is to make sure that as and when we criticize, as and when we self-introspect, we are very clear as to what this organization stands for. It's quite easy for anyone to criticize from the outside with very little knowledge. But it's another task altogether for you to stand and say, how do I build from this point? And we are saying as the ANC Youth League in this branch, we are raising our hand, we are saying we are available to build, to unite, and to help the ANC to continue to be the leader of society that it's supposed to be. As the ANC Youth League, we are very happy and committed, Comrade Lindiwe, to a project that seeks to unite the ANC, to the project that looks at interrogating and self-introspecting, not the project that seeks to glorify people so that they are able to emerge at some conference. That's not our preoccupation. We want to resolve on policies that are going to be able to transform the lives of our people. That is our preoccupation, comrades. And as we interact today, I urge you, comrades, to really look deep as members of the ANC to say, what is it that you are doing in your capacity as an ordinary member of the ANC to build unity in the ANC? Because it's been very easy for everyone to criticize from where you are sitting. In fact, we are privileged, Comrade Nopa, and I'm fortunate that I'm young, so I'm allowed to make mistakes. We're very quick to condemn, we're very quick to to criticize those who speak against the ANC in certain quotas, without ourselves addressing some of the issues that they are raising. We continue to bury our heads in the sand like ostriches when we're supposed to be dealing with the issues that we're supposed to be dealing with. As branches of the ANC, we have taken away the power that was mandated to us, to people that are leading us. The leadership of the ANC is much more powerful than the branches today. Much more powerful. In fact, people are confidently able to tell you, no, that is my people who are together there. That branch hasn't even said. But a leader would easily tell you, no, they are moving with me, these comrades. We are together here. Don't worry about those ones. Comrades are not one of those branches. And for us to be able to make any meaningful contribution towards the longevity of this organization, we need to stand up and be counted. The fence has fallen. You can never be on the fence anymore. I sacrifice my camera. Those of you, unfortunately, that have been sitting on it, there's been too many of you. It's overloaded. Yeah, I said. So you see some of the things, as I wrap up, some of the things that are really of a greater concern to me as the leader of young people is that typically we have comrades of our own. Comrades of our own that are capacitated, comrades that can easily contribute and make meaningful contribution towards this organization. They may not be resonating with the masses, but we know and we have realized some of these comrades' capacities. In fact, we disown some of them. That one is a problem. We're very fortunate in this branch that we have one of those comrades. And he happens to be very young, comrades. and as a young person standing here, and sometimes I'm called, no, but this one is from your branch. Why is he so controversial all the time? His name is Mqebo Dlamini. Why is he now on the platform, the EFF? This comrade has never been interrogated, has never been given space to speak his ideas, to speak his thoughts within the ANC. We're condemning him from a distance there. That one is a problem, man, this boy. Must deal with this boy. I'm called by comrades that say, no, but he's apparently in your branch, so you are leading him. I'm saying, yes, I'm leading. I'm leading him. This is the comrade that needs to come and make a meaningful impact, a contribution, and be a member in the ANC and make his contribution here. So if there's anything that Mqebo wants to criticize or any other comrade, he must come and do it here. Comrade Nopa. And I'm putting him on a spot because he's never really here. But now I'm looking at him. He's there. He's here. He's here. And I'm saying, China, I'm inviting you. Nopal. And I said, I'm allowed. You've given me time. I'm wrapping up. But it's important that this comrade begins to speak on some of these issues, because these are some of the issues that are disuniting us as the movement. Why is he speaking on that platform? Nancy platform, Perfumla up, come and speak to comrades here. I agree you are here. No, I'm not putting you on the spot, Mchana. It's an instruction. You must come and speak here and engage comrades. Come and speak here. No pilot, I'm abusing platform here. So thank you very much, comrades. Amanda!
Comrade Mqebo, prepare yourself. I feel compelled that I must give in to Comrade Mkiti's instructions. But I think we have a very, 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 very vibrant youth league. And I think we are in safe hands. And Comrade Lindiwe, I can assure you that in this branch we are sober and we are ready. We are ready. We follow organizational processes. Perhaps the best articulation is that on your marks. Once the organizational processes have declared that the processes must start, ANC Liliesleaf Farm is ready to hit the ground running. Comrade Nkebo, Nami, I think that I've heard in many corners with Mchana, you belong to our branch and you speak in corners when I ask you, but what did you really mean when you articulate this and this and this issue? I'll afford you 2 to 5 minutes, Comrade Nkebo. Please come and say hi to members of your branch.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson. My name is Mtebo Freedom Nkunzika Ibalegi Dlamini, a member of this branch in good standing. Because now I am here, and there is a culture that I am not used to in the African National Congress. That's the culture of not singing, because songs liberated South Africa. And in those songs, there is always a meaning. Now, I understand that our people, there is that spirit of being defeated. We must refuse to be defeated. This is the time where, as members of the ANC, we are under attack from all angles, even from within. So the only way is to uplift our own spirits by singing. When we sing, we remind of ourselves of where we come from and where we want to go to. Mandela hufuna masoja ulobalete ewe lumatsuha Mandela hubatla masoja ulobalete ewe lumatsuha Hatu, walete, hatu, Sisulu hufuna masoja, walete, hatu, Sisulu hufuna masoja, walete, hatu, Amandla. Thank you very much, comrades. I can see that you are very much alive. I was getting very concerned as a young person, but a young adult, because I am 30 years old now, so I am entering another terrain. Comrades, Comrade General Lindiwe Sisulu, thank you very much for coming into this branch to greet us here. This is the true reflection of the African National Congress today. It is very difficult to mobilize ANC members in this day and age. That's why it was very much important to talk of organizational unit. Because when you speak of organizational unit, you speak about the depth of the organization itself. the direction that the organization wants to take, because the organization had a direction when it was formed. And I want to believe that they achieved most of those things that they were formed for. What is the purpose of the ANC today in 2017? It can't be the same purpose that it was in 1912. The dynamics are changing. So is leadership, which is determined by the conditions on the ground. What is the purpose of the ANC? Before we say the ANC is divided. Maybe it is divided because there is nothing that is uniting our people anymore. Our people were united because they were fighting oppression and apartheid at the time. They were fighting for the land and dispossession and the rape of black people in the plantations. Not that our people are not being raped today, but today we are raping our own people because there is lack of leadership in this country. There is lawlessness in this country because our people are leaderless. If the African National Congress fails to lead society, the masses will lead themselves and there will be anarchy in South Africa. The same way there is anarchy today is the failures of the current leadership. The ANC must lead. The ANC must take its position. Its position is that of leading society. If we unite the organization, because the role of Comrade Nopala, just give me some because I'm sure because I'm not only talking to this one, I'm also talking to those who are at home and those who are leading today. Allow me, Nopala, the minister has ample time.
I will give you more.
Thank you. Thank you, Nopala.
No, later I'll give you.
Comrades, please, Nopala, please. Comrades, Comrade Chairperson, 5 minutes.
No.
Thank you. Comrades, 5 minutes. The role of the movement is to unite. If the ANC is united, because it's not about the branches, it's about the people we lead outside the branches. If we are then united, we will be able to lead society. Because ours is to influence society. Ours is to give guideline to society. That's the role of the organization. Now, we see people, our own people, raping and killing women in South Africa because we are failing to lead society. There is fear. People are scared to say we are having challenges. The day our people lose courage to speak about the issues which are a problem, then we become collaborators in the problem. I refuse to be a collaborator. I'm too young to be captured. Comrades, the ANC used to have leaders, fearless leaders. Leaders, when there was a problem, they go to the masses of our people. Do you mean those leaders died with Kizan? Those leaders died with Walter Sisulu and them. Today, we are struggling to enter one because we have associated ourselves with the masses of our people. Let us go back and to the masses. The ANC is the people. The people are the ANC. We can't have leaders who are scared of the masses. Comrade, I am happy that the minister went to Soweto when Soweto was burning. That's the kind of leadership we want. When there were problems in Soweto, he didn't send police. He went to those people, or those masses of our people. I want leaders who will go to Vuan. Comrades in Colleen, in Northwest, that province is collapsing. We need leadership. The reason why the people are now taking the law into their hands is because we are failing to speak to the needs of the people. Which one was the issue of land? Another one was the issue of racism that is still there. We have to fulfill the objectives of the African National Congress. The ANC is 104 years. It has never been led by a woman. But there have been women that we sing about every day. We sing about women every day. But the ANC has never been led by a woman. Probably because we all agree that the house is falling apart, the house is dirty. Maybe we need a mother's touch to clean the house and put the house in order. With those words, Lindiwe, Sabela, uyabizwa. Thank you very much. The branch must not be scared. This branch must not be scared. Makwala, Alchechere. As young people, we are going to lead this country through these processes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is what happens when you try to be generous. Comrade Muketi, you owe me time. Comrade Muketi, you owe me time. Comrades, thank you, Comrade Mukebo, for expressing your views. I think in this branch, we are clear about organizational processes that we need to follow, and we remain disciplined members of the ANC. Comrade, let me now ask a very close friend, a comrade, my zonal secretary, Comrade Pasha Lekwane, who 2 weeks ago successfully, together with the zonal leadership, launched what we term UR Tambo Friday in this zone. Every Friday in this zone there is a program that seeks to deal with organizational unity issues, that seeks to engage our communities, and all of us as members in this zone are expected to carry with us the ANC regalia and ensure that we attend the zonal program across our 11 branches. So, Comrade Pasha, can you please come forward and introduce our keynote speaker, Comrade Lindiwe. Comrade Pasha.
Amandla. Buya ANC katatu Sisulu. Buya. Buya ANC katatu Tambo. Buya. Buya ANC Kabamakeke. Buya. We remain the disciplined force of the left that is biased to the working class and the poor of the poorest. Once we don't make sense to these two motive forces, we are going to be rendered irrelevant. And all the policies that we are seeking to implement at all the spheres of our government supposed to have benefits to the two motive forces. Once we veer and deviate, we are nothing. My duty is just to introduce our keynote speaker. She is the leader of the ANC, a member of the National Executive Committee. And I don't want to say she's a minister. In this gathering, she's our leader and the leader of the ANC. And I'm urging all of you, comrades, to listen and listen attentively. And I said to her, when you speak to members of the ANC, you're allowed to be as controversial as you like, because we're approaching a very serious platform of making sure that we are taking stock. And when you take stock, you become honest. You don't start by being defensive. You ask yourself, what happened with the broad-based black economic empowerment? Why do we want to move away from it and go to a radical economic transformation? And what is it? What is this animal? So that when people speak outside, we are able to say we are moving to the right direction. Lindiwe Sisulu. Oliva Tambo, Oliva Tambo, Teta no Boga. Oliva Tambo, Oliva Tambo, Teta no Boga. Mandela Subusa, Gulu Mandela Subusa, Gulu Mandela Subusa. Guru Mandela Subusa, Oliva Tambo, Oliva Tambo, Teta no Bota, Oliva Tambo, Teta no Bota, Guru Mandela Subusa, Guru Mandela Subusa. Guru Mandela Subusa, Guru Mandela Subusa, Guru Mandela Viva ANC, viva! Viva! Viva Women's League, viva! Viva! Amalama Koskazi! Alongwe! Viva! Youth League, viva! Viva! And all protocol observed. I acknowledge the leadership here of the branch and the zone. I acknowledge our visitors present here. And I'd like to acknowledge the rest of the branch that is here, together with the ungovernable youth that has been before me here. Before I get into the substance of my speech, I listened to the Youth League chair here. I listened to Mcebo. And I wanted to say to you, perhaps I should have said it before I come here, that all of last week and the week before we had protests in El Dorado Park and in Enadale. And what I saw there were young people running amok. Mcebo, take those young people back to school. That's where they belong, 8 hours a day, learning to make sure that in future we have leaders for this country. They should not be on our seats.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, this is the second time that I have been invited to Liliesleaf. The first time I came here, I was invited by a group of young women, professional women, and I was overawed by the presence that they presented to me. I went there expecting young people who would want to know about the future of the country. I found young people who wanted to give me answers on what it is they wanted out of me. And I come here having been told that this is going to be in the form of a dialogue, and I have been assured it's going to be a vibrant dialogue, and I have experienced some of you before, so I'm expecting that it is going to be a very heated dialogue, and I'm hoping that we will have the necessary water to douse everybody, to circulate to everybody, so that we have controllable temperatures here. Comrade Chair, I have been asked to address myself very specifically to the issue of organizational unity. For the reasons that have been explained to me, when the Chair, Nopala, and the Youth League came up here, they indicated that their view is that we are in disarray. We as the ANC are in disarray, and the rest of us who are sitting on the fence has fallen, and we've got to find a way in which we can get up, unite the organization, and take it forward. I accepted this invitation because I'm inspired by people like yourselves, who still believe in the ANC, still believe that the ANC has a future, and still want to know how to get to that future. I've indicated that I've been here before, but it was not in an environment like this. When some people are at the point in the country of nearly giving up on us as the leadership of the ANC, to find myself amongst people who still want guidance, who still want to be taken to the next stage, has given me hope. It's given me hope that we have something that we're going to leave for the future. I admire you, and I stand here given hope that tomorrow and the day after we will have a future in yourselves. I struggle to contextualize the topic of the day, especially in an environment within our ranks, in an environment where factionalism has become acceptable state of being for the ANC, and likely to get worse and worse as we go towards conference, and possibly replicate another pre-Polokwane scenario on ourselves. We don't need that. We've been there before. We don't need that. This is the basis on which I agreed to come here to talk about unity. Perhaps a good point to start would be the definition of unity itself, so that we are at one about what we're talking about. What do we mean by unity? Do we mean consensus? Do we mean agreement? None of the dictionary terms quite capture what we speak to when we are speaking organizational unity. Ours is one that is carved out in a long history of struggle against a common enemy. It has been proven throughout the ages that nothing unites people more than a common enemy, thereby a common struggle, a common determination, and a common goal. A state, as it were, of absence of fundamental diversity, because the oneness of purpose within us is greater than a sum of the individual parts or a sum of the factions within us. At its founding in 1912, the ANC debated what name to adopt for themselves. And at some point, there was an alternative that was offered. The alternative that was offered was Imbizo Yabantu. The name was discussed and it was thrown out because of the fact that Imbizo has a particular timeline and a time frame to it. They opted for the ANC. And the reason why they opted for the ANC is because they understood in the word Congress an ongoing articulation of a struggle for themselves and a continuity and a unity. A unity in action has become our motto coming out of that period. When we talk about ourselves, we talk about unity in everything that we do. The aspect of continuous struggle, which is now in our DNA as the ANC, was deliberate because it has also been shown that in our struggle, it is at times when the struggle is not paramount preoccupation of ourselves, when there is an absence of tangible advances in the achievement of our goals, that we experience diversity and discord. The totality of our experience as we speak right now is discord. The totality of our experience as we speak now is discord. When you asked me to speak on the unity of the organization, I knew I would be with people who are preoccupied with how we can regain the stature, how we can regroup, revitalize, as opposed to disparage and denigrate. It should not be fashionable for people in the ANC to denigrate other people, because it does not build, it does not unite. You make me believe it is possible. I harbor the same sentiment that I have heard here expressed, and oftentimes have been uncertain if I share this belief with anybody else. I'm glad I share it with you now today. It is very common these days for people to use the term unity, but sometimes this term is used purely for its populist purposes, because it what we hear as unity of the ANC is
Well, we do apologize for that occasional break in transmission. That's the dialogue on organizational unity coming to you live from Midrand in the north of Johannesburg. And of course, that dialogue there looking at the various ways of strengthening unity within the ruling ANC that's ahead of the elective conference that is scheduled for December this year. That's when a new ANC leadership will be elected and will also assume office. And Lindiwe Sisulu, the ANC NEC member speaking, will take you back there. Let's see if we can...
We defined the enemy. The definition of the enemy now, insofar as social transformation is concerned, are the societal problems that we experience in our society. The dysfunctionality of our societies, those that are afflicted with drug abuse, and etc. These are the issues that we define as the enemy currently. We also have another problem, which is called a threat. We have a common threat. I had the chairperson here say that we are down to 54% of the vote or the electorate. And the tweet that came back was, in Lily's farm, they're indicating that the ANC is losing support. That's not what the chairperson said. What he indicated is, watch out because we dare not go below where we are. That is the threat that should be foremost in our minds all the time. We cannot lose power as the ANC. We cannot lose power, because if we lose power, we lose all of those years of sacrifice, all of those people who died to make sure that we can get a better life. Because a better life cannot be guaranteed by anybody else. But it can be guaranteed by the ANC, because we were willing to die for a better life for all of you. You can trust us, because you did not send us into exile. We went there on our own accord, driven by the passion to ensure that today we can sit here with you and talk with you as we're talking now. You don't owe us anything. You owe us and your future to make sure that this which you are demanding we should give to you as carefully crafted as we received it, you too have a responsibility to take that to the next generation in a way that, or even better than what we're giving you. Therefore, what I'm saying to you is, we as the ANC will not allow that power should shift from the ANC to any other center. With all the problems that we have had, only the ANC can liberate our generation, your generation, and your future. Handle this ANC with care. Even when you are very angry, handle this ANC with care. Do not allow us to be part of those people who are throwing stones at the ANC. You have a responsibility to protect the ANC. Just before I came in here, I had a discussion with the leadership of the branch. And we're talking about the capacity that you have. You who have intellectuals, you who have got the middle classes, you who have the access to what my people out in Enadale might not have. Social media. On a regular basis, we are losing the battle in social media. When you, all of you, are here, defend the ANC by whatever means is at your disposal. We defended you by what was at our disposal, which is the gun. You now have yourselves and the technology and your skills defend the gains of the ANC using by whatever means. If the ANC does not continue to rule this country, it will be the disintegration not only of a great movement, it will be the disintegration of the hope that Africa has put in us. They helped us every step of the way, every country we went into, because they knew that out of us they would get a beacon of light that would take them out of their particular situation. We don't hold this for ourselves. We hold it on behalf of other people as well. The possibility that we are now living with, which we did not anticipate, that led to Tshwane going to the opposition, that led to Johannesburg going to the opposition, that led to Nelson Mandela going to the opposition, should be something of the past. It should be something of the past. What we should do now is understand what the current challenges are, where we're going to regroup, reunite the ANC, rebrand the ANC, those of you who are techno-savvy, rebrand this organization so that it resonates with even people who are much younger than yourselves, so that they feel, I belong there, and I want to belong there. Make sure that it grows. Ntaibo here says, this is not the ANC of 19... No, I'm not the one who wants water. Give it to the youth. Indeed, the ANC grows. And as the ANC grows, so too should be the tools that we use to ensure its continuous revival into the next century. Our unity cannot be lip service. It has to be that without which we cannot live. This means, therefore, that we have to raise the spectre of a threat against loss of power in the ANC. Not because we fear that it is coming, but because it has happened. Even when we did not ever imagine it would happen. Let this reside at the back of everybody's mind. We dare not lose the election in 2019. Dare not lose. Because when you do, you will no longer be allowed to stand up and sing about Tambo. You'll never be allowed to stand up and sing about Solomon Mahlangu. You'll never be allowed to stand up and sing about anybody because you will have disinherited yourselves. This is the threat that we should have at all times at the back of your mind to make sure that we are continuously mobilized to regain those places that we have lost and ensure that we can move into the future. ensuring that the future is in the hands of the ANC, because only the ANC can take us to the future. Here, we must protect the commonality of purpose that we have. Here, we will find the ingredients of the commonness that we all have. We were exactly at this point in 2006, 2007, as we went to Polokwane. And we allowed the divisions in the ANC to grow, because each of us was swallowed up in some faction or the other. And it didn't matter what voice came from the side to say, don't destroy, don't destroy. We were blinkered, single-minded, going to Polokwane to deliver a particular leader. These divisions now still remain deep in our soul. We should find a way of getting out of that, because we are one. We have a commonness of purpose, we have a commonness of the genetic ingredient that is called the ANC, all of us. The creation of 2006-2007 should not ever repeat itself. And those of us who were in the trenches of 2006 and 2007, may you forgive us. What we ask of you, don't repeat those mistakes that we made. We didn't realize then the damage of creating this, because each faction was so caught up in determination to win. The most important thing at all times is the ANC must win. The ANC must win. Not any individual, but the ANC. The ANC at all times must win. Over the Easter weekend, I listened to the Bishop of the Zionist Church talk to the Deputy President and say to the Deputy President, you know, repeating an old cliche that we all know, when people fight 2 or 3 people for whatever, it is the ground that suffers. Don't ever forget that. Poor Deputy President didn't know what to say, so when he's asked by the media, what did the Bishop say? He says, no, we must, a complete deviation from what the Bishop has said. Because the poor man was caught off guard. Right now, comrades, we're not looking too good. We're not looking too good, and there's no doubt about that. Democracy allows us to have disagreement amongst ourselves. Our organization allows us to have disagreements amongst ourselves. We are a Congress, held together by our policies. That is why in the good old-fashioned days, we used to call ourselves a broad church. We are allowed to differ. But those differences come to a stop when the policy kicks in. And all of us are required to abide by the policies of the ANC, the dignity of the ANC at all times. Public mudslinging has now been made an offense in the ANC. That is part of the policy issues that we will be discussing as we go forward. This is called bringing the ANC into disrepute. We adopted this in Mangaung, but very few have been charged with this, and even fewer found guilty. In all this gloom, it may be soothing to know that we've been here before, as the ANC, before the dawn of democracy. When we adopted the Freedom Charter in 1956, our inclusion in the Freedom Charter of the phrase, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, was not palatable for most people who had an Africanist perspective. And there was a huge backlash created by this. The Africanist perspective put their view on the table that, look, it can't be. Africa belongs to Africans. They're watering down our demands. Fundamental principle is we should not sell the rights of African people and include everybody else. These ideological differences between the Africanist view and the ANC created a fundamental split. Now, I need to say, reading through history, the SG at this time was one Walter Sisulu. He's confronted with this, but these people want to split. So he says, what are they splitting over? It's just a semantic revolution. And they did split. They formed the PAC. The fact that they're not successful now is another matter, but they did split. Public differences again occurred when Chris Hani, in exile, out of sheer frustration, wrote a very scathing memorandum to the leadership of the ANC and proceeded to make it public. Disciplinary was taken, and in this instance, but the general discontent that had been created continued. As a result, the ANC decided they would have a consultative conference. What is good about the consultative conference of Morogoro is that it worked through the differences that existed then. I am hoping that as we go to the policy conference, one of the things we're going to do is work through the differences that we have. Because if we emerge from that not united, we will have lost a golden opportunity. The ANC conference in Morogoro was full of very angry people, especially those who had fought in Zimbabwe, united in action, determined to take the task of the revolution forward. What is significant about this leadership, however, was the quality of leaders that we had, both the president and the members of the executive. In outlining the challenges facing the OR, in facing the organization, OR considered, and I quote him, "Our struggle is being waged in a complex and difficult situation. The correct solutions of the problems of our revolution requires a proper understanding of the situation we're in. This involves an assessment of our struggle and our weaknesses. It requires of us to stare our weaknesses in the face and come out with solutions that will last." Close quote. It was an angry community at the conference, assembled there. Responding very directly to a memorandum that Chris had written, which accused the ANC of divisions, serious divisions, factionalism, riddled with corruption, riddled with tribalism, riddled with cronyism, demanding that people be appointed on merit rather than cronyism. Is it beginning to be familiar? We've been here before. What OR did was to stand up and say, if the ANC is how you describe it, if the ANC is corrupt, then I, the leader of the ANC, am corrupt. I've just been to the SACP this morning, SACP dialogue right now. And the matters that we're discussing here were discussed at the SACP dialogue. They have an advantage of having a different background and a different foundation. And they were therefore able to very rawly put out their own views about how they feel about the ANC. Sitting there, listening to them, I took their views in the hope that perhaps I might bring them to you. After a long discussion, very heated because amongst them were various other formations, Save South Africa and other formations that had wanted to express themselves on some issues. At the end of it, we came to the conclusion that these are the things that we need to focus on. And I'm going to give them out, read them out to you, so that, Chair, when you have the next meeting of the branch, Please interrogate each one of these things so that by the time you get to conference, you've got the answers to each one of these things. We will have a much richer conference and a much richer outcome after that. We've got to reflect. We have to do a self-reflection and make sure that we create institutional renewal. 2, we've got to reconnect with our masses. In very much the same way as I'm asking the Youth League to make sure that they reconnect with the young people who are on our streets, to make sure that they go to school. We want an educated young people in future. Reconnect with our masses. 3, we must reclaim the moral high ground. When people talk about us, they should not make examples of us in the negative. Let them make examples of us in the positive. I want to be like the ANC. There's a little boy in Cape Town, 7-year-old, whom I took to Parliament yesterday. He's been suffering from cancer for the last 4 years. He's 7 years old. So I took him to Parliament to see how adults behave in Parliament. So when we leave there, I ask him, so were you impressed? And he says, no. Why were you not impressed? No, my favorite actor was not there. Who's your favorite actor? Malema, he says. Let's reclaim the moral high ground so that a 7-year-old should say, I want to be like those people. We must strengthen the capacity of the movement. You here have what we need in other parts of the country, concentrated in one branch. Please come to the rescue of other people that don't have the qualifications or the wherewithal that you have. Make sure that you strengthen the capacity across the board. Please come to Orange Farm and give them some of the skills that you have, free of charge. Just have Saturday morning workshops there and say, this is how you operate a computer. Or this is how you build a house, and I'll be there to build houses with you. Let's have tangible outcomes that make sure that we are able to harness the energies of our people, able to harness what we have and create something for somebody to recognize that the ANC truly cares about me. I was called by the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission to tell me about the plight of the young man who died in Coligny. In response to her, I said, look, I and the portfolio committee will go to Coligny and build a house for those people. I haven't finished, Chair. Those people who were so angry in Ennerdale and in wherever, we have promised them that we're going to cut up land, service that land, and they can come and build. I challenge this branch to come and build with us in Ennerdale. So that we're not armchair intellectuals, armchair politicians. We're there with the people making a difference in their lives on a daily basis. So that when they get into the house, they say, this is the house that the ANC built for me. 5, we've got to feed into decision-making forums of participants in general and make sure that our voice is heard. I was glad to hear that there are representatives here who will be going to the policy conference. And we've got to develop here a minimum program of action. I've already indicated my preference for human settlements. You might have another preference, Chair. I am requesting you to come along in this program of action, make sure that we build houses for our people, because that is a ticking time bomb for people who live in poverty. Because poverty does not elevate the mind. In fact, what is happening is that the criminal elements are penetrating those areas that are seriously poverty-stricken. and sucking them almost like a tick sucks the blood from animals. We've got to clear those places and give dignity to our people. That's what we stand for in the ANC. Dignity for each and every person. Come help me build houses in Ennerdale. Chairperson, we trace our history. Sorry. We trace our history of unity throughout the ANC from its foundation. However, its clearest first expression seems to have been articulated by Dr. Kluma as president of the ANC from 1940. He spoke directly about the need for unity and put it in the indelible words as follows. Open quotes. Unity means strength and hope. Unity means strength and hope. So don't go looking for hope anywhere. Look for it within yourself and your ability to create unity in the ANC. That's where the hope of the future lies. None could have articulated it better, and that should be the guide for us going forward. Unity means strength and hope. We've got to guard these with everything we have. Coming now to the issue of the conference. The papers have been circulated on social transformation. We are holding workshops across the length and breadth of the country. I will be allowing myself in the dialogue that is going to follow to answer any questions that you may have, but there are several issues that come out of the policy on social transformation. We want to make sure that we actually radically transform our society. What we have transformed is the way that we think, but we have not transformed our society. We're still stuck in the past where apartheid left us, with the poorest of the poor down at the bottom, and a few of us, like we are, scaling up the ladder. We've got to find a way to physically transform our society. That means a fundamental mind shift that understands our differences and the unanimity that we have. This brings me to the case of Kolini, where racism is expressed both by the perpetrators and the people who receive. We have not, as the ANC, dealt decisively with the issue of racism. It's something that we skirt around because we're too worried that we might step on a time bomb. Racism is that which drove the ideology that oppressed us for so long. We've got to find a way in our schools, in our homes, that we deal with the issue of racism. For as long as our children go to different schools from other races, we will not be able to change the mindset of some of our people. I don't know how we can do this. Those of you here who are professionals can help me. We've got to find a way that we integrate our society from the time they start school to the time they finish school. And at the moment, our schooling system is determined by how far the school is from where you live. And we will perpetrate apartheid spatial planning and apartheid divisions in that way. We've got to find a way out of this cancer called racism. Over and above that, we are very concerned about gender violence that has been articulated here by more than one person. I don't know what kind of society we have become when young women become so vulnerable and that we men prey on them to the extent that we actually burn their bodies. We desecrate them after we have abused them. There's something wrong with the society that does that. There's something wrong with us as the ANC that live in a society like that. 22 years after we're in power, each one of us should ask ourselves, what produces the kind of monster that does that. We've got to protect our women. We've got to protect our children as well. We should put paid to areas where children are used and held hostage and are not allowed to go to school because we, the parents, want water or want tarred road or want whatever. We should have, as one of our policies in the policy conference, we will no longer use children for protests. Children will be protected from protests. They should be at school. In the same way as we say to the teachers, you're required to be at school 8 hours a day every day of the week, except Saturday and Sunday. We should also ensure that our children are at school at least 6 hours a day, learning. No child should be running around in the street unaccounted for. It is not right. Finally, we've got to find something within ourselves, not only in coming here and talking about unity, but something that unites us across races, something that unites us as a country, something that takes us forward in our determination of who we are. Proudly South African. We've used the concept of social cohesion over and over, and it has not borne fruit. We've got to find a way. Perhaps in you rebranding the ANC, perhaps you can find a way. We've got to find a way that we're able to ensure that all of us here relate to each other as, this is my brother, this is my sister, we belong together. We fought for this country together. We're going to be in this country running it together. We're going to treat each other with respect. When I went to meet the protesters in Soweto, I was honestly appalled at the disrespect that came out of the mouths of those people. I can understand the anger. I can understand the frustration. I can understand everything that they were saying. And the reason why I went there was to say to them, we as the ANC government care. We care when you're in trouble, we care when you're happy. But I was appalled by the disrespect. Not just for the leadership of the MEC or the mayor or myself, but just amongst themselves. There must be a level of respect that we accord each other. We as South Africans. Somewhere we must find a bottom line that you don't talk to somebody in this way. There is something that is called respect. When you get into your mother's house, you know what language to use. Why do you use a different language when you're outside and talking to somebody else? It demeans you who is using that language. Let the youth learn respect. Let the youth learn respect of each other. Let the youth learn respect of people who are older than themselves. Let them know that it is their responsibility to protect people who are older than themselves. Let us not find that our culture is so degraded that disrespect is common purpose in our country. Comrades, I've gone on too long. I will now allow you to ask questions. Thank you very much.
Well, there you have been watching the live pictures there coming out of Midrand to the north of Johannesburg. That's where the ANC is holding its dialogue on organizational unity, which is looking at various ways of strengthening the unity in the ruling party ahead of its conference, that is the elective conference scheduled for December. And the ANC NEC member, Lindiwe Sisulu, has just wrapped up her speech at that dialogue, saying, amongst other things, warning that the ANC must not allow itself to descend to those factional battles of the pre-Polokwane conference, and also saying that the ANC cannot afford to lose power as the sacrifices of all its members throughout the generations will amount to naught, and also saying that members have a responsibility to defend the ANC, and stressing also that whilst disagreements are allowed in democracy, they should not be allowed to disintegrate the ruling party. Also talking of the need for self-reflection that is within the ANC in order to strengthen the capacity of the organization, and also to fight poverty, which she described as a ticking time bomb. And just before she concluded there, talking of the urgent need to transform society, and that the ANC needs to decisively act on racism, and that that should start with de-racializing schools. She also spoke of the need to teach communities that children should never be used as a means of protest. So those were some of the issues that Lindiwe Sisulu, the ANC NEC member, spoke about when she was speaking just a short while ago at the dialogue on organizational unity currently underway in Midrand.